what's up, family? I really want to say welcome back to my channel, but I think I deserve to be told welcome back to the red app. You get what I mean? Welcome to the channel. My name is Tisetso Khomu, and you're tuned into a safe space where we have hard conversations on life, love, and all things healing. I almost forgot how we do it over here. But if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome, welcome. I know you're gonna love this place. Over here, we're family, no judgment, nothing like that. So why don't you, before we get into the crux of this video, click the subscribe button and join the family, because why not? Who doesn't want to be in a safe space, right? Anyway, so today I am sitting here and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm doing this again. I feel so embarrassing and I feel like I'm going to be judged, but we are talking about dating after divorce. And I know, I've done this video before. I have more than one video actually talking about dating after divorce. But I feel like right now I'm in a different state than I was then. And the whole reason why I'm doing these videos is for you guys to actually see the messiness of healing. And sometimes we want to just, I don't know, glide through the process of healing, and I want to show you the good and the bad. And I know in the past I've received good and not so good, commentaries on why I'm doing this. Some people are helped, some people think, why are you even doing this? But I'm here because I want to show you the realness of what healing is. Healing is such a buzzword in our generation now, and like everybody just wants to heal, but do we really know how messy it is? Do we know how beautiful it can actually be? So this is why I'm here. We're going to talk all things divorce. Dating after divorce. If you're here for the first time, you bumped into this face, and you're wondering, I did share about me being divorced, and right now going back into the dating scene. My gosh. And before I go into anything, and I know I might have said this before, I just want to apologize to all my people that were single all that time, because these streets, mm-mm, mm-mm. Anyway, we're not talking about that. I want to talk about how dating after divorce is, how it's going, what it's teaching me about myself, what it's teaching me about my nervous system. And I'm going to also answer questions that you guys gave me on Instagram. And so if you're not following me on Instagram, that's where the business is, because I posted a video of me on a date. And then I said, okay, I'm going to do a sit down, because the last time I was supposed to go on a date. It didn't go as smooth. So here I am again. As promised, I'm taking you with me on this healing journey. And I hope you guys will enjoy this one. So let me just briefly tell you about my date. So we went to Kolanaki. I think that's what how they pronounce it. But yeah, I went on a date with this guy. It wasn't the first time I was on a date with him, so it wasn't like unfamiliar. So he wasn't like an unfamiliar face. And if you've been with me long enough, you will know that on these other days that I've gone on, I would either fake a meeting or not finish my food. And we know that if I finish my food on a date, it means I'm not really enjoying it. I'm not there, So yes, this means that I did not finish my food when I was with him, and he scored another date. I don't know if it's a second date or a third or a fourth, but it is another date. That's all that matters. It was really nice. I think I told him that I was a bit nervous. I think we're joking about, on a date, kind of nervous, but I did get a bit nervous because my state of mind was in a different place. And I wasn't as naive as I was last time. I was calm and I was more aware of what was happening around me and in me. So that was a bit scary. And then yeah, we got there. Yes, so a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, did you like coerce him into like taking a video of you? And I'll show you the video here. And I was like, no. Brothers took the phone, wiped the back camera, and he's like, are you not vlogging? And I'm like, okay, I can vlog. And he took the videos, which was sweet. And at least I didn't have to. It's embarrassing. I would never ask anyone to shoot videos of me unless they're like my friends. But even that, it will be like, so I'm just such an awkward person that standing behind a camera makes me feel weird. So yeah, he did that. He did all of that himself. So bonus points for him. We got there and he opened the chair for me to sit. Me being me, Miss Hyper Independent Girl, I just walked past the chair and I went to open my own chair and he was like, how? And I'm like, oh, that was for me. He opened it for me. Okay, then I sat down. Had a good time. I did not finish my food, so we really did have a good time. And yeah, it was a really good few hours that we had together. And I think one of the things that I then started to think about is how safe I felt around him, and how I was not anxious at all. I was myself. One of the things that I I valued is that I can be myself fully. I don't have to pretend. I'm genuinely very insane sometimes. So having to be that even in the space of someone you are, you know, I want to say trying to impress, but I'm just like, you get what I mean. When you're on a date, you need to be on your best behavior. But I was myself, which was really good. Oops, sorry. And I think with every other date that I've been on, the question would always be, I don't know if this person can handle my personality. I don't know if this person can handle my call. I don't know if this person can handle my me and my situation with two kids. And there's a lot that I think about. And yes, maybe somebody's sitting there and looking at me like, but it's just a date, why are you thinking about all those things? And for me, it matters. Like, it matters. I don't just do things, I don't just get into things. And I think I mentioned this before, that I'm not the type to date for the sake of dating. So things must have purpose, guys, and it must serve where I'm going and where I'm at. So yeah, that was nice. It was really nice. Will there be another date? Find out in the next episode of The Data and the Datee. Ding, 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 ding. But what surprised me the most about my reaction to the date was that I was calmer and I wasn't overthinking. I'm naturally an overthinker, guys. Like, I'll overthink every situation, and I'll be like out. And because my nervous system is always ready to warn me of things, so I was very aware of that. And yeah, but I noticed that my body responded well. And even in I think in my notes are filled with a lot of, my nervous system is at a place where it's like, this feels good, this is nice, but be alert, be ready to either run or whatever. So my nervous system is always trying to give me warning signs, even when it's unnecessary. So this is a part where we're going to talk about, and how I'm also just dealing with that as I go, not because I know. And yeah, that's about it about the date. I think I don't want to go into too much details about this date yet, because we will see whether it makes it through round number X, right? So yeah, let's move on to where I am right now. Yeah, this will be like a diary entry in the beginning, and then I'll begin answering you guys' questions. I hope that's okay, right? Don't forget to subscribe. So after divorce, like, your body remembers a lot, and I think I speak about this a lot. Like, your body remembers how the other person hurt you. It remembers how it made you feel, and sometimes that feeling comes back and then it reminds you of what happened. So then your nervous system needs time to regulate after a traumatic experience, or whether you've been in with a person for long, for 7, 10, 15 years, for long. It is long because it's long enough for your body to get used to certain behaviors and certain treatments, and to get out of that place into a new era where you need to now be conscious of the fact that you're not going to now compare where you were and where you are, and being aware that you're no longer where you were. You are here, and what matters now is you being here, being present with what is happening now, and being able to filter through when your nervous system is just being scared that you might tip over to what the past was, or it's just being true that you might just need to look into 1 2 3, because wow, so having to balance the two, there's a thin line between you being able to discern where you are correctly, and you discerning out of a bleeding wound. So that has been really tough for me, because believing that a person is literally going to take care of your heart and won't misuse your heart, again, it's very hard. And the fear of literally letting your guard down again, the fear of being disappointed again, the fear of actually getting to a place where you begin to question yourself, asking yourself whether you're even worth being loved, so there's a lot to get through, there's a lot to go through. But I'm also learning to listen to my body again, because what I've noticed and what I've come to realize about myself before is that I used to ignore how my body felt. I used to ignore, what I picked up. I either won't know how to communicate that this is what I'm picking up. I am at a place where I'd rather tell you this is how I'm feeling and this is what I am picking up, and be wrong, than me keep it to myself and leave it to my overthinking, because that does more damage to your nervous system than anything. And I remember we had a conversation with my friends, and I was just like, one of the things that I have realized is that the nervous system heals over time. A repetition of things that needs to happen that are opposite to what you went through. So if it was constant bashing that you went through, it will take more than one person affirming you, or more than one affirmation for that person to get through to your nervous system. It will take, actually, yes, it will take more than one occurrences where this person is continuously affirming you, until you come to the party to say, hey, actually, yes, I believe what this person is saying, to continuously, do the things that scares you, or that sets an alarm to your nervous system, and actually doing the opposite of that. I don't know if you get what I mean. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. And yeah, but I think I am also very patient with myself concerning that yes, I need to, and I'm patient, but I'm also very vigilant that I can't just hype over one action, because I know that my body still remembers the other stuff. Now it's like a person does something repeatedly that is good, and it takes me quite some time. And I think that's a disadvantage of now getting into a relationship with someone like me, who's an overthinker, who's gone through trauma, and who is afraid of getting hurt. Guys, I'm so afraid of getting hurt. I am so afraid of getting hurt. Like, I would rather give birth naturally 5 times than be in a heartache or a heartbreak. No, I'm afraid of getting hurt. So that's why my nervous system is literally always on a wee every second. So yeah, it takes a whole lot of patience from the other person, and also myself, being patient with myself as well, and being also aware that I would need to communicate my fears as soon as I feel them, because by the time I overthink my fears, it's over. I've already like went into, you know what, peace. I don't want, like, you get what I mean. So I'm learning those things about myself. And I'm also learning, funny enough, that I'm actually not good at communicating how I feel. And I think I say this a lot, that I'm transparent, I can tell you what's happening around me, but in me, I don't think I'm a good person. I'm not a good communicator of that, because it was always met with rejection. So now it's like, what if I say this and then it ends up into something like this, or a person misunderstands me? And I hate being misunderstood so much. So if this person misunderstands me, it means that I need to find another way, which is that's going to now set an alarm on my nervous system that, remember, this person used to do this, now you're back here. You get what I mean? The same way I'm talking now is how my mind works. So I'm not perfect. Yes, I do wrong, but yeah. But I'm learning that healing isn't just about, trusting others again. This journey, like, yeah, this journey of dating again, or letting someone in again, is not just about trusting the next person, but it's also about trusting me. Because one thing that divorce has done for me is that it has put so much doubt in me that I can't make right decisions. I can't hear God properly. So it's not just about me trusting the next person, but it's also trusting myself that I can make like the right decision. And it's just helping my body to feel safe to love again, you know? So yeah, that's where I am. Yeah, I said a lot. So let's get into the questions. And yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna be looking at my screen, my laptop, because most of the questions, all of the questions are here, but I will answer into my camera. So I have put the questions into categories, and you'll see why. Because most of the questions, some of the questions were like similar, so I had to like put them together, and so that I don't answer the same thing as I go. And this time, yeah, I don't think it's gonna be that long. Yeah, so the first question was, can a Christian get married after divorce? If yes, reference scripture, please. Now, ever since I spoke about me being divorced, boy, has this question haunted me. Like, people will tell me that my pastor is fake for asking me if I want to remarry. People will tell me I am in sin because I want to remarry. People will tell me this and that, and I'm just like, and I've set it in my heart that I want to do a whole video on this. So I will be getting assistance on this question, because I don't want to also just answer it from my perspective and how I'm feeling and where I am, but I'll give you my stance, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good when we relaunch the podcast. Yeah, but let me answer before you guys think I'm running away from the question. So they said, scripture reference, can Christians remarry? Yes and no, in my perspective. What's my stance on it, and what do I think I'm gonna do? Yes, I want to remarry, and I know I'm going to remarry. Right. Do I have biblical grounds for it? Yes, I do. Let's look at Matthew 19, verse 9. There are a lot of accounts also in the Old Testament, in Deuteronomy 24, which the thing is, this answer would have to be long, and I have other questions to answer. But let's just quickly do these 3-4 scriptures quickly. I hope I can be fast enough. This is a scripture where Jesus was speaking to the Pharisees, and the Pharisees were asking him, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for just any reason? For just any reason, right? And Jesus said that, have you not read that he who made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So then they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no man separate. Right? We're giving the standard of what, in the beginning, what marriage was about and what God said about it, and that's what it is. And then they said to him, why did Moses command to give a certificate of divorce and to put her away, right? And Jesus said, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, permitted you to divorce your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. And he stated how it was in the beginning, right? And then verse 9 says, and I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, and marries another, commits adultery, and whoever marries her who is divorced commits adultery. So verse 9 says, I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, and marries another, commits adultery. So he's answering two questions that people might have. Is like, okay, the whole divorce, what grounds permits divorce? It's that, okay, there's sexual immorality, and then the remarriage part is the condition. Then says there should be the ground of divorce should be there, and then he says that if they are remarrying without the ground of divorce, then they are committing adultery. So if we could read it without that exception, it would say that I said to you, whoever divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery. And this is the interpretation that other people have, right? That it says that, look, look, if you divorce, you can't remarry, full stop, right? But this one says, except for sexual immorality and marries another, commits adultery. So, yeah, that's number one. Let's quickly go. Wow, this is going to get too long, and I didn't want it to be too long. Let me quickly go to First Corinthians 7. That was Jesus to the Pharisees. And I also just want to note that, and maybe let me just end it there because I have other questions to answer. But I just want you to note that when the Pharisees came to Jesus, they came with ill intentions. So historically, it's written that it said that, so these people took the law of Moses in Deuteronomy 24, and they said to, because, yeah, in Deuteronomy 24, Moses said that if you divorce your wife and she goes to marry someone else, if you find something impure about your wife and you divorce them and they go marry someone else, you can go back to them, something like that. So yeah, if I divorce and then I will marry someone else, I can't go back to my ex-husband. You get what I mean? Yeah, that. So they took that, and that's why when they asked God, when they asked Jesus, they said to him, is it unlawful to divorce your wife for any reason? Right. There are two schools of thoughts in Deuteronomy 24, but we can't get into that right now because we have a Q&A. This is not turning into a Q&A. It's like now a preaching. But anyway, yeah. So now the Pharisees came to Jesus with that ill intention because they knew, they were very hypocritical because they knew already what was going on. That people were putting away their wives, divorcing them because they wanted to marry someone else. They wanted to marry someone who's younger, who looks, better and whatever. And that's why they divorced. And they used the law of Moses as something to fall back on. But then Jesus comes in and addresses the hardness of their hearts. This deceitful heart of theirs, and he says, but look, wait a minute, let me answer the any reason. And he says there should be sexual immorality, so it's not just any reason, right? And obviously I'm not listing all the other stuff, all the other grounds, but I'm listing this one that's mentioned in Matthew 19 verse 9. And then he deals with their heart first. He deals with their heart and he tells them, this is the heart of God regarding marriage. But because of your hardened heart, this is why Moses permitted divorce. But it was not for any reason. It was if there is a ground that is sexual immorality, and then the person can remarry. So because these people's intention was not of good intention. You cannot just divorce somebody because you're bored and you're tired. You want to go somewhere else. Then you're being adulterous, right? But yeah, let's not get into that. There's a whole video that's coming in. You can also read 1 Corinthians 7 verse 15 that speaks about if an unbeliever abandons the wife, then, halala, bye, Anyway, do I believe that Christians can remarry? There should be grounds for divorce, and it shouldn't be just something that you're putting away your spouse for any reason. And then the other one is that obviously the one that people use to bash us who are divorced, and is that your spouse needs to be dead. And the other thing is you need to take into perspective. So God was like, this, it's situational. What Jesus was actually trying to explain is that it's situational, this remarriage thing. This particular marriage should be marriage should not be defiled in any way. But if there was this thing that happened that defiled the marriage with sexual immorality, then people can remarry. And I mean, there's also a school of thought that, okay, the act of remarriage then becomes adulterous. And then if you heal together with your spouse, if you repent, the Lord is gracious enough to forgive you, and you're not going to be in an adulterous marriage. But the act before the marriage, the act was adulterous, but just not your marriage. But we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that soon. So I hope that answers. Okay, so the next question is, how did you restructure your dating preference after divorce? I did not have okay, let me not lie. I had a preference, and I said, and this was from my stubborn self, like, oh, why should I marry someone who has kids? Because why? Because what? I'm damaged goods. And then as time went by, I'm like, okay, fine. I don't mind a guy who can love me and love my kids and does not have his own kids. But I always imagine like the family dynamics, like the external families, like his family and my family, and me going into their family. I'm such an insecure person. So I'd always think like they're looking at me in a weird way, that, this one comes with kids. I mean, and it's not impossible. I've seen, beautiful love stories that panned out like that. But I'm so insecure, guys. Like, I would be like, I don't know if it's a preference, but it's something that I feel like, yeah, it's gonna be tough. And I don't have a preference, honestly. But would I prefer having someone with a child? Yes, because I think they understand the family dynamics. They understand that, there's also another party who has, birthed this, oh, not birth, but yeah, who is a parent to these children, and how that dynamic also works. So in my head, that's just, yeah. And also, one of the things that I don't know if it's a preference, but it's literally a prerequisite that this person must love the Lord so much. And I was saying this to someone, I'm like, I don't see myself getting into a relationship with somebody who's just a churchgoer. You can tell me I'm born again, but if you don't have some kind of, laboring in the kingdom, or some kind of, we're going to be frustrated, because naturally I'm going to be that. So preference, you're going to have to be pursuing some call, né? And I'm not saying pastors, but yeah, I can't be a churchgoer. Okay, how do you know if your perspective about everything is not from the divorce trauma? How do I know? I don't. I don't, but like I said, regulating my nervous system is what helps me filter some of this stuff. And it's not my perspective of everything is on divorce trauma, but it's also on divorce healing. It's not always from the bleeding wound, but it's also from the healing wound. And I think the most difficult thing about being a divorcee is, and what I've realized, is that people generally think everything you speak about comes from that place. And I don't even want to go around and tell people it's not because I'm divorced. Like, people can go and, hear what they want to hear, but it's not always from the bleeding wound, but it could also be from the healing wound, not even from the healed wound. The healed wound, yeah, we see people preach about the healed wound, but it could be from the healing wound, and some of the good and the bad things could come from that place as well. Some because you're trying to guard your heart, some because you genuinely are learning lessons, and now you can see better. You, in retrospect, you know what decisions you can make differently. So I don't think my perspective on everything comes from a divorce wound or divorce trauma, but I think that it does shape the decisions that I make. It does shape the kind of things that I want to get into, but it's not always toxic. Like, I feel like every time someone says trauma, every time I'm like, oh, I have to reprimand myself and say it's not always toxic. You have gone through trauma, but are the decisions and the perspectives that come out of you always toxic? No, it's not. So yeah, when I read this first, I was like, yeah, what are you talking about? But yeah, I don't think everything is from divorce trauma, but I think some of it comes from the bleeding wound and the healing wound. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, do you find that you are overly distrusting? Not anymore. I was very, very, very distrusting. I was just like, everybody's just going to take advantage of me. Funny enough, I don't trust friendships, which is a story for another day. But yeah, but I'm not distrusting as I was before. I think I've healed from that. I'm actually more excited. How is it? Someone asked, how is it? Does it feel like you're on a ride at Gold Reef, or are you coping? Does it feel like I'm on a Gold Reef City ride? Sometimes. Sometimes it feels scary. Sometimes it's so exciting. Sometimes it's unbelievable. Sometimes it's like, slow down, slow down. You know what the people say? Anything that's too good to be true will end in tears. So sometimes it's like, but I choose every time to say, but wait a minute, we've gone too far. We've come too far for us to always think that things are going to bomb out. So does it feel like a Gold Reef City ride? Yes, it does. But it's exciting. Oh my gosh, it's both thrilling. It's both thrilling and scary at the same time, but with the risk, I believe, because love in any way is a risk, right? Okay, so these two questions, I think I've explained or rather answered because I categorize them as the first experience or the date itself. And somebody asked how was the first date. I think I answered that thoroughly. And then someone asked, who did you go with? Definitely a man. I am a straight woman. Definitely a man of God. I do not, see myself being unequally yoked. So don't worry, it was a man. So the next category, which is the last one, was really around being a mom and dating again, and which came out a lot. Like there are a lot of questions, and I just took a few of them because some were reiterating the same thing, but basically questions about navigating dating as a parent, as a single parent. Okay, so the first question was, how's dating as a mom generally? Are suitors receptive or do you get judged? I actually, with everybody who's approached me, they know I have two children, and they were not phased by it. Well, at face value, well, they did not give me vibes out of yo. You have two kids. How's that gonna work? So generally, suitors already come to me having this information that I have two kids. So that means obviously that my schedule is a little different than a woman who doesn't have kids. And this is one of the first things that I say to anybody who even breathes my way, that I have two kids and they're my priority. So what you gonna do about that? How's dating as a mom generally? Like, I'm answering these questions like I'm a serial dater, but I literally just went on like 3 dates. But it's okay, just have a nanny. Honestly, I don't have anything deep to say about it. How do they feel about you dating? So I think I answered this before in one of my videos, but I had a conversation with my children the beginning of the year, and this was not because there was someone there or anything. The beginning of the year basically was just me and them, and I sat down with them and I had to tell them that, okay, remember that mommy and daddy are not going to be together anymore, and they understood, stated the reasons, and I said, oh, the whole mommy and daddy love you and all that. So my daughter was like, are you gonna find somebody who loves you and loves us too? And I said, yeah, if God gives me somebody who loves me and loves you guys dearly, then definitely I'm gonna get married to that person. And then she's like, oh, does that mean we're gonna have two families? You and the person that God is gonna give you, and daddy and somebody else. And I'm like, yes. And then she was like, oh my gosh, does that mean I'm gonna have a bigger family, and then you're gonna have a child, and daddy's gonna have a child, and then I'm gonna have two little sisters? So she was a bit excited, but this is a continuous conversation that one would have to have with the kids. And I've realized recently that you can't leave it as a once-off thing, because also their nervous system is healing, so you have to be very conscious of that as well. So my kids are okay. I keep needing to reaffirm them that I'm here, that I love them, that even if somebody else comes into the picture, that they are still loved by me, and I wouldn't jeopardize that. I wouldn't also let anyone in who doesn't genuinely love them or care for them, right? King, will you introduce him to the kids? Yes, I definitely will introduce him to the kids. I feel it's very impractical for me not to introduce the person that I am seeing or that I'm dating, because if I am dating you, I'm looking into forever, right? It's very impractical for me because my kids are always with me. So yes, like yes, you know. And I'm very protective over my children, so it matters who I introduce to them, even with random people. So I'm very, like, it's not just a person that I'm seeing or dating, but it's literally with everybody. And what I allow them to see. I mean, I could come with any of my guy friends, and it would just be a friend. But yeah, very protective over that. How do you navigate the thought of somebody having to introduce the kids? Huh? Of having somebody and having to introduce the kids to them? I think I've answered that. Um, I don't. I'm not too concerned about that, because I know that if I'm at a point where I'm introducing you to my kids, then I am certain I need you, or I need you. I want you in my life, and I want them to experience you as well. The dynamics of having a new figure now coming in their lives, does it come with guilt? Yes, in the beginning, because of the questions that they would ask. Because in the beginning, it was like, okay, we're in this new thing. Okay, you and daddy are not going to go back together. Oh, why can't you get back together? Are you going to marry daddy again? So we had to go through that. So seeing someone else also was me also thinking about where they are and where their mind is, so that we can both transition together into this new thing, right? So does it come with guilt? It does, because you're just like, we don't know how they are taking it. Maybe you're just being selfish because you want to feel loved, you want to feel this companionship and whatnot, and what about them? But in the end, you know that you just have this affirmation that you are making the right decision as their parent. You're making the right decision as somebody who cares for them, that you wouldn't just make a decision that will jeopardize them in any way or their future. And also trusting that no, you are still following God's leading, even in the dating, because sometimes we only wait for the big stuff. We only wait for the person to come and propose marriage, and by that time it's too late. I believe, especially because my kids are young, I believe that, if I was to meet somebody now and we were to be very, or be engaged or whatever, I would want them to be a part of that journey. So I can also see how this person treats my kids and how this person relates to my kids. Will I be able to handle it? Because sometimes you only introduce your man to your children when you are getting married, and then you find out that they are not getting along. So that's just my stance, okay? That's just my stance. Okay, the last one is no question. Oh, it wasn't a question. It says no questions. Just want to say, enjoy it, babe. I will. I will. I definitely will. And that is the end of our video. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Please write in the comment section if you're going through something similar, and how you're navigating it. If you have gone through it already, how did you navigate it? What tips can you give us? And maybe we could just read through the comment section and be helped as well as newbies in this whole thing. And yeah, let's go. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I do appreciate you guys so much. Okay, bye.